Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to another edition of Little Bite Ideas. I am 𝙇𝙄𝙆𝙆𝙇𝙀 Whitlock. I am the Chief Marketing Officer at Samuel Fields Consulting, and it is our distinct pleasure to welcome all of you on this Friday, the 17th of September. Friday mornings are typically busy for most of us, so we appreciate you taking a few moments of your time to hear about some of the ideas, some of the knowledge that we're so excited to share with you today. Last week, if you joined us, we talked about financial services and accounting, and this week we're shifting over to technology. Let me welcome our guests. Of course, we have the CEO of Samuel Fields Consulting, Mistress Megan Samuel Fields. Good morning, Megan.
Good morning, and good morning to our listeners and viewers.
Great. And our special guest today is Mr. Ashton Ferron, who is well known by his technology pursuits. We're going to hear a lot about Ashton's emerging technologies. Ashton, welcome to the SFCG virtual stage.
Thank you, and good morning to everyone.
Fantastic. Well, we hope everyone's having a great Friday. It's always a good thing to end the week with some new knowledge, some new ideas, something to take you into the weekend, just to start thinking about your personal growth and development. And of course, if you're a business owner, people who own businesses, consultants, our minds are always ticking. So we want to send you off to the weekend with a lot to think about. So let's get right into it. And Megan, I want to hear from you what's going on with Samuel Fields Consulting, some of the ideas that you're toying with, and just tell us this morning what's on your mind in terms of growing and expanding your business.
All right, so Samuel Fields Consulting Group, we are always thinking of the next great thing, how we can do things differently, how we can do things better. And as you know, we have some packages, some financial action packages, where we combine coaching as well as a planning session for persons who want to take a stronger control of their finances. And so we've been looking at that to see how we can make that even more interesting. And we're also looking at how we can expand it. And so we're looking at expanding that to customers, business customers, so that on a whole, businesses can take a part of being financially savvy, financially astute, and deal with their financial issues, not just as an individual, but as a company. So that's one area we're looking at. The other area we're looking at, it's still in its embryonic stage, but with everything that's happening around us with COVID, we recognize that children are it's tough. It's tough for them. Whether or not they're going to be having face-to-face school or whether it's online, it's a lot. It's a lot for even me as an adult, much less, the children. And so we have been thinking about how we can do something specific to young people to help them with their education path. And so we are still discussing ideas, but we want to see how we can make a difference in children's lives. So that's where we are.
Fantastic. So it sounds like technology, hint, might be a good way to really bring the children to, bring the youngsters together. I mean, it's been 18 months and counting with COVID.
Yeah.
I'm going crazy, and I'm sure everyone else is. I mean, it's bad enough being here in this same state for 18 months, but we don't know how much longer this is going to continue. Do we have another 18 months? We hope not. But our mental health and just finding ways to cope with the pandemic while still functioning is a challenge. And of course, the pandemic has changed every aspect of our being, business, personal, the way we do things. And that, of course, sets up a nice segue into our next guest, who is going to tell us about his new platform, or it's been around for a while, but something that I think if you have a business or even from a personal perspective, this is something you definitely want to hear about. Mr. Farron, tell us about Frübi Pay.
Hi, good morning. So it's still fairly new in its inception. It's not a new idea, but it is something new to this region in the Caribbean. And so, Frübi is what it is. It's a payment platform that allows any business to transact online, and it's coming from the pandemic. And so I have a few slides that I would like to share. So essentially, we're powering the next wave of entrepreneurs, and what we're endeavoring to do essentially. Let me just get my clicker going here. Is to allow small businesses to get their businesses online. And so before I get into Frübi, I'm just going to give a little bit of background. And so the team that built Frübi, we started with the ticketing events app. And what we did when we started ticketing it back in 2015, we changed the narrative. We changed the culture by bringing in a solution that would allow persons to easily and conveniently pay for tickets to any kind of event online through a digital platform, right? And in that, we would have developed our payment platform, our ticketing platform, etc. And what we did in collaboration in building Frübi, we partnered with another team that built Pocket Antigua. And their idea was about bringing small businesses online, getting awareness to small businesses, bringing awareness to our culture and so on for anyone that's visiting our shores, to be able to access information. And so that collaboration, is really what spawned Frübi. And, we've worked with lots of different companies around Antigua and Barbuda, as well as the OECS region, for all sorts of different types of events. And then, as we were doing that with ticketing and Pocket Antigua, COVID came and just disrupted everything. So when COVID hit, the events industry was completely, taken out. And so we had to think on our feet, and we said, well, look, we noticed that a lot of businesses, especially small businesses, are, significantly affected by this. And the difficulties that they have involve cash flow, not having the technical expertise to do business online, and then sometimes, well, not just sometimes, but creating a merchant account can be a pretty tasking and expensive endeavor. And so we wanted to empower entrepreneurs to be able to continue doing business during this pandemic. And so we've worked with a lot of different small businesses, different types of businesses all over, to be able to conduct their business online. And so that's essentially what Frübi does. It allows persons to quickly create a site that they can sell their products and services without the technical knowledge, needed to create a fancy website, but you can create something very quickly. And because time was of the essence, in terms of COVID, a lot of persons were out of work and looking for a secondary income to supplement their themselves and their families. And so this is what Frübi is all about. And we've had a good impact so far. It's really changing a lot of business models for persons, and we're really happy about that. Of course, we're working with key partners around the region to be able to do this. And, just some of our traction to date, we're really happy to be working with over 100 merchants. And this is something that we really would have only taken off around November last year. So within the last 8 or 9 months, we haven't really done any advertising or anything like that. But already we've processed over 5,000 transactions to over 3,000 customers, $2.6 million in transactions already. And, we haven't been around for a year as yet. So we're very proud of those achievements. And one of the key things that I wanted to share with you guys today is having the right team. So my bright idea, is really getting the right team, because we wouldn't have been able to do this without the persons that we have on our team. And I'll share one thing that I learned at a boot camp in Jamaica some time ago when we were first starting to do ticketing, and that is in terms of technology, for like technology startups, you want to have at least 2 persons on your team, right? So collaborating ideas, we got to move away from the mindset that, persons are going to steal my idea, right? Your idea is probably not new, and there are other persons that are thinking about it. So the best thing to do is find persons that have the same idea and want to put in the time and effort to take this business to where you want it to go. And you need at least 2 persons on that team, a hustler and a hacker, right? And this is this is not a bad hacker. You want a good hacker, someone that's really good at what they're doing in terms of software development. And you need somebody with that hustler spirit that's going to drive the business forward. So that's my that's the end of my presentation, really. And thank you for allowing me to speak. So any questions?
Okay, well, thank you so much. I really enjoyed that. I encourage all of our listeners to begin to post your questions. I see we have a few people who have joined us. We want to welcome you. Please like our page if you haven't already done so. And of course, share the link. Let people know that we're on. There are lots of great ideas that we are going to be bouncing around today. Now, Ashton, I love what you said about the hustler and the hacker. And I hope you I hope it's trademarked, because that's definitely stealable. You need 2 people. You need the hustler, you need the hacker. And sometimes, you find people who can do both. So
very rare though. Those are unicorns.
Absolutely. But no, that's really a great nugget. The hustler and the hacker, someone needs to crack the whip. Someone needs to get the work done. So that is fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing. But we're here to share ideas and to bridge the gap and to facilitate relationships. And I know, Megan, earlier you talked about some of the ideas that you had in terms of the entire business, but more specifically reaching some of the youth who are struggling to find their way in a very complicated marketplace, complicated world where physical contact is limited. And of course, Ashton, you are the techpreneur. I like that as well. So I'm just curious, based on our discussion here today, what are some of the ideas that Samuel Fields Consulting can possibly help your organization with, and vice versa? Let's just have a brief discussion, brainstorm some of the ideas where perhaps we can, create some synergies, some partnerships possibly.
So that's for me or for Ashton?
Either the hustler or the hacker, whoever wants to go first.
Okay, I'm not sure which one I am, but I'll start. So I really enjoyed what was said today, Ashton. I'm blown away. So first off, you're going to have one additional customer because what you have laid out there is something that we need at SFCG. In terms of how we could work together, you mentioned something earlier where you said that it was just through word of mouth and you've done that well. I'm thinking that perhaps we can have some discussion on how maybe we could work together, maybe through SFCG, maybe with our focus being on finance and accounting, perhaps having some unique, special type of platform or software or even incentive for persons in that area. And we could work together on that. That was a thought I had.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're always open to working with other businesses. You know, you can see from the onset, you know, we've collaborated with other teams. You know, because we want to work with persons that have the same vision, and if you have the same vision, then you know it's only going to be able to help grow our business. So we're definitely open to collaboration. I think it's really important to be able to do that. You know, the mindset in the Caribbean, I think in particular, is you know you don't want people stealing your ideas, and so you keep it to yourself and you work in your corner trying to build this business idea, and then you know it never actually takes off, right? Because you sitting by yourself is it's hard, right? It's really hard if you don't have you know both the hustler and the hacker mentality. It's hard to be able to do these things by yourself. So you know, I mean, of course, we need persons to help us do our accounting. We're not accountants, not any of us. So you know, so it's always good to be able to work with persons, and I'm sure we can find some way to that we can benefit each other. You know.
Absolutely. Now,
I
one of
don't
the
think.
things,
Go ahead.
sorry, I just needed to get this off my chest. One of the things that we've been looking at or thinking about, still in its embryonic stage, but it's how can we have an app? And I know nothing about app development, so I might be saying the wrong words, but how could we get an app in the hands of children where because everybody has a phone, where we can reach them through education. So if let's say we want to have some type of education regarding financial literacy for children, because I do believe that's really where it needs to start. You know, they always say there's an app for that. Is that something that your team could explore?
Well, yeah, I mean, we're always willing to look at different ideas and so on, and we're you know we are really a platforms based kind of company, so we build platforms to be able to allow other entities to build on top of it, right? So I mean, just kind of expanding on your idea a bit of getting financial literacy and education in the hands of children. I think that's a really great idea. And, something like that, I would probably take the angle of sort of gamifying it because, you know,
Fantastic.
children love games. If you can figure out a way to make it unique and interesting,
Absolutely.
they're gonna,
You're speaking my language here.
right?
Excellent. Let's get a
I mean,
leaderboard. Make it a contest.
I know of other applications. I can think of one. I think it's called Edufocal, based in Jamaica, where they basically have a platform that allows children to learn using different types of games and activities on the tablet. So including something about financial literacy in there is definitely a great way to um, enhance and bring up the capacity of persons in our society. So I'm down for that.
All right.
Okay, so it's good to get into the incubator because we already have a possible connection, a new revenue stream, perhaps a new platform. Who knows where that goes? But ultimately, that is the one of our main objectives and the purpose of doing a show like this. It's to bring some of these ideas, disparate ideas, together into the incubator for discussion, for brainstorming, and possibly who knows where it can go. Ashton, I want to also just touch on a point that you make because I often make reference to it as well. The fact that I don't think it's just Caribbean people, but I think we somehow often are, I'm an ideas kind of person, and people always say, don't share your ideas. Careful how you share your ideas. But you know what? Ideas need oxygen. Like a plant, like a seed. If you just hold on to that seed, you don't plant it, you don't water it, you don't ensure that it gets all of the nutrients that it needs to grow. It just
Yep.
becomes it eventually dies. So the seed is only as useful to you
Yeah,
as the way you can replicate it, you can grow it, you can
and
you can expand on it.
I'll just add to that by saying that with all the ideas that we come up with, um, and of course, people are really creative, right? Lots of creative ideas coming through. But in business, you got to get your idea out there quickly. And if it fails, make sure it fails fast so you can get back up again, move on to the next idea. Um,
Absolutely.
we sort of live by the premise that um, you want to make sure that you can that persons are willing to pay you for your idea. So the longer you take to bring your idea to market is the more time you'll spend, you'll be wasting your time. So you got to bring those ideas to market as quickly as possible. Are people willing to pay you money for it? If so, then continue developing it. If not, and it's not viable, quickly, cut that off, move on to the next idea, and stop wasting time. That's essentially it.
Yeah.
And of course, like many other small businesses at SFCG, we're full of ideas. And
Mhm.
I'm usually the marketer, where I have to say to the team, how do we monetize it? Sounds
Mm,
great.
right.
Fantastic. Let the ideas contend. However, at the end of the conversation, we have to have a serious heart to heart. How can this be monetized? And if it can't be monetized, I agree, we have to let it go. There's no way you can throw resources after something that ultimately has no real viability. So
Yeah.
some really great nuggets here that we're sharing today. And we are almost to the end of our show. I just want to remind our listeners, if you have questions, please drop your questions in the chat. We want to also bring you into the discussion to hear your ideas, answer your questions, and hopefully we can all walk away today with time well spent, with something to think about in terms of improving our personal or professional financial wellness. So, are there any questions? If not, I will begin to summarize what I've heard here today. Definitely platforms are the way to go. There are lots of possibilities. Ashton spoke to us about Frübi Pay and the story behind it. And of course, it emerged from an idea. And then, of course, he found the right partner, which has then helped the business to grow and to expand. Of course, you have to find a partner. It's very key. And in that partnership, what's key, you need a hustler and you need a hacker, someone who drives the business, someone who makes sure that the business gets all of the nutrients that it needs to grow. And then, of course, someone who can deliver on promise. It's great to be able to explore ideas and to get the attention of customers and potential customers, but ultimately, you have to be able to deliver on your value proposition. I'd like to give our guests, first of all, I'd like to thank our guests for such an interesting discussion today. And I'd like to give them both some time to give some final statements and to emphasize their great ideas and provide our audience with some key learnings and some knowledge that they can chew on and really integrate into their personal or professional lives. Megan, tell us, give us your parting words.
So I want to say thank you to all the persons who tuned in today. I hope you have been able to get a few nuggets. The one nugget I really hope that you take from here, it's actually similar to what was said last week, which is collaboration is key. And don't sit on your idea. Don't sit on it. Collaborate with someone. Find the right people. Find the hustler. Find the hacker. Or variations thereof. But there needs to be the next step. Yes, it starts with an idea, but Jude, you have a nice phrase about if I have an idea and you have an idea, that's all we have. But when you put it together, we can do great things. And so that's what I want to leave with you. Stop hiding your ideas. Bring it out, dust it off. Find someone who shares your similar ideas and see where it goes. It may work, it may not work. And even if it doesn't work, it doesn't mean that it's the end. It just means maybe it has to go back into the incubator and you come with a different, a 2.0. But let's see how we can collaborate more so that we can do more.
Fantastic. Ashton, we're so happy that you're able to join us. Tell us your parting words. Summarize your great ideas for us.
Well, I guess I'll just end by telling a little bit of a story how I found my team, and essentially, so I mentioned earlier that we started with ticketing, and then we're doing Frübi and all of that. But how I actually came about finding my team is so I was in the line of an event, very popular event, so it's a very long line. And, just thinking to myself, man, I wish I could get into this event a lot easier, right? And I happened to see a friend of mine, a really good friend of mine, from childhood. And I told him, why are we standing in this line for, this length of time in the hot sun, because one of those day fetes, I want to get inside quick so we can enjoy the party and all of that. And, I was telling him, I was thinking about doing an app to make this much easier, right? And he was like, oh, I have a friend that has the same idea and he's working on it now. So I was like, well, that's great. How can I get involved? Because I want to do this too. And so, from there, that's, where we got started. And luckily, I happened to meet some really great people that, were open our relationship is very open and we trust each other in terms of our skills and making, the different types of decisions, because it's, in a small company like ours, you have to be able to trust each other. And so I was lucky enough to find those persons that I can work with. And I think that's really important. So, don't be afraid to share your ideas, because you never know who you'll be able to meet or get in touch with to be able to build that idea. And I mean, if you're worried about someone stealing your idea, I would say, look, nobody's going to be able to execute it the way that you're going to be able to do
There
so.
you go.
So that's fine. Somebody can take your idea, but they're not going to have that original quality that you can. I let persons know that, look, it's fine to share ideas. Collaboration is key.
Fantastic. Well, we've come to the end of our show. I want to thank everyone who joined us. Be sure to tell your friends, colleagues, your potential partners that there is a show where you can get some inspiration to grow your business, to improve your personal life. Hopefully, we provided someone today with some type of inspiration to move an idea forward, to move a partnership forward, and to see your business and your potential through a different lens. Truly, I believe, and Megan said it, if I have an idea, if you have an idea, fine. We both each have an idea. But when we can bring those ideas together, this is when those great eureka moments begin to happen. And so another phrase that I like to use is, there's nothing wrong with failing, but next time around, make sure you fail better. Meaning, it's okay to fail, but you can't continue to fail making the same mistakes and at the same level. You may fail the first time around, but the next time around, you should look at it. Listen, even if I fail, I'm going to walk away from that failure with a better mindset, with key learnings, and not as bad a fail as it was the first time around. And with that kind of mindset, eventually you will get somewhere. So our purpose here today is to bring small businesses together into the incubator, where we can fuse some great ideas and hopefully start a revolution where we begin to reach within ourselves, to grow our own businesses, to really do our part in growing the economy and be ready for the rebound. COVID will not be around forever. And so with all of this cross-pollination of ideas, I think we will be in a much better place. We have to go. Again, thank you for joining us. I want to thank our team. First of all, I want to thank Mr. Farron for taking some time out of your busy schedule to spend it with us here in the SFCG studio. I want to also acknowledge the rest of our team behind the scenes. We have Mr. Nicholas Fields at the controls, and we also have Miss Aaliyah Jenkins, who has also joined us today, and she's also helping us in the background. Thanks to everyone. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you back here next Friday, where we will have, do we know who our next guest is, Megan?
We sure do.
Okay, tell us about our next guest.
Next week, we will be hearing from Mr. Rashane Cunningham. Rashane is a lawyer, but he's also known as a lawyerpreneur. So to all the attorneys out there, it might be a good show for you to tune into. And he'll be sharing with us his ideas.
Well, if it's one thing about this show, you also get to expand your vocabulary. Last week, we learned how to spell innovate with an E. This week, we have a techpreneur. Next week, what is it? A lawpreneur?
A lawyerpreneur.
Lawyerpreneur. I better get that correctly. So the learning never stops in the SFCG studio. Again, happy Friday, everyone. Have a great weekend. We look forward to seeing you next Friday, where we have another great discussion, another great brainstorming session. Thanks again. See you soon.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.